don't know who I came to talk to today, but I came with a word for the one who's been walking through midnight. I came for the soul that's been sitting in the shadows, wondering, God, where are you? Because sometimes the darkness isn't your destruction, it's your delivery room. Yes, the darkness didn't come to bury you, it came to birth something brand new inside of you. The enemy thought the night would break you, but what he didn't know is God does his best work in the dark. You see, the light didn't come from the outside, it came because the darkness pulled it out of you. So don't curse your darkness, declare it, embrace it, because the pain is producing the promise. Somebody shout, my light is coming! Because darkness had to come to create the light. Darkness is not the end, it's the beginning of revelation. It doesn't always feel like it. When you're sitting in it, it's the beginning, surrounded by uncertainty, covered in grief, confused, hurt, or just exhausted. The darkness can feel like a dead end. It feels final, like the curtain has fallen on your story and there's nothing left to do but mourn what was lost. We've all been there, in that place where prayers turn into silence, where the familiar becomes foreign, and where even your own reflection feels like a stranger. But I came to tell you today, and not just tell you, but to shake you awake in your spirit, that the darkness is not your conclusion. It is the construction site for your calling. See, God has a strange way of working. He doesn't always move how we expect, and he surely doesn't always show up when we want. But he always shows up how we need. And often he does his greatest work in the places that seem void of him. Let's go all the way back to Genesis. Before there was light, there was darkness. Before the stars were scattered across the heavens, before the sun rose for the very first time, darkness covered the deep. It was in the dark that God began to speak. So don't tell me he can't reach you in your night. Don't let the enemy convince you that silence means absence. Darkness is not a tomb, it's a womb. What feels like an ending might actually be an entrance. What looks like it's falling apart could actually be falling into place. And I know, when the lights go out, your fears get louder, your doubts start to echo, your past starts to shout. The enemy knows that if he can keep you stuck in your night season, he can distract you from the dawn that's about to break. He wants you to think this darkness means God has left you, that your purpose has dried up, that you've disqualified yourself, that the pain you feel is pointless. But I came to interrupt that lie. I came to snatch somebody out of despair. I came to remind you that what looks like a dead end is just a detour, and God is still the author of your story. You see, in the natural, light is most needed in the dark. You don't need a flashlight in the daytime. You need it when you can't see, when you're unsure, when your next step isn't clear. And spiritually, it works the same way. Sometimes God will allow a season of darkness so that you will discover what you carry on the inside, that inner light, that divine spark, that deep well of resilience you didn't even know was there until the lights went out. You didn't know you could pray like that until pain hit. You didn't know you had that kind of strength until loss came. You didn't know you could survive it, but you did. And that's the power of revelation. It's not always about learning something new. Sometimes it's about seeing what was always in you, hidden in plain sight. There are things that will only be revealed in the dark. Ask the blind man in John 9. Ask Joseph in the pit. Ask Paul in the prison. Ask Jesus in the garden. Each one had a dark moment, a night of weeping, a time of isolation and uncertainty, and yet each one came out with a new assignment, a new level of clarity, a new dimension of purpose. Because the dark didn't destroy them, it developed them. That's revelation. That's when you stop seeing the darkness as punishment and start seeing it as preparation. That's when your pain becomes your platform. When your test becomes your testimony. And let's talk real, because some of you are in that place right now. The place where prayers feel like echoes, where friends don't understand you, where you feel like nobody sees the tears you cry in silence, where the questions outnumber the answers. But can I tell you, God sees, God knows, God is there, even in the places where it feels like He's not. You are not abandoned. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are in the middle of a divine reveal. The enemy sees the potential, and that's why he's been pressing so hard. That's why the attack has been relentless. Because hell knows that your light is about to break through. And if you ever step fully into that light, if you ever realize what's inside you, if you ever believe what God says about you, the gates of hell won't stand a chance. So don't curse the darkness. Don't run from it. Sit in it if you have to. Cry in it if you must. But whatever you do, don't give up in it. Because God is speaking in your night. Revelation is being birthed. Direction is coming. Healing is on the way. You are not dying, you are developing. You are not breaking down, you are breaking through. The cocoon is dark, but the butterfly is forming. The soil is dark, but the seed is germinating. The night is long, but the morning is coming. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy, not maybe, not possibly, not hopefully, joy comes in the morning. Your revelation is coming. You will understand why it had to be this way. You will look back and say, had it not been for the Lord who was with me in the dark, you will testify, you will rise, you will shine, because the darkness was never the end. It was just the beginning of your light. God forms greatness in the shadows. You don't hear much about that in our world today. We live in a time where everybody wants to be seen, everybody wants the spotlight, everybody wants the platform, the applause, the recognition. But what if I told you that God doesn't shape true greatness in the spotlight? He shapes it in solitude. He forms it in silence. He develops it in the hidden places, in the shadows where nobody is watching, where nobody is cheering, where nobody is even paying attention. It's in those dark, quiet seasons where God does His deepest work. You might be asking Him, why is nobody seeing me? Why are doors not opening? Why am I still in this place? But the truth is, He's forming you. Because if God elevated you before He formed you, the weight of your calling would crush you. The public platform can never sustain what hasn't been privately processed. And the shadow season, that silent, unseen place, is where the real formation begins. Look at David. He was anointed king in private, long before he ever sat on a throne in public. Before the palace, there was the pasture. While his brothers were being paraded before the prophet Samuel, David was in the field, forgotten, tending sheep, doing the dirty work nobody saw. But it was there, in that field, in that shadow, where God formed a heart after His own. It was there that David learned to fight off lions and bears. It was there that he learned to worship in solitude. It was there that God developed the character to match the crown. Because greatness can't be microwaved. It must be marinated in obedience, in patience, in discipline, and those things are only learned in the shadows. Sometimes you're not being punished, you're being preserved. See, God hides you for a reason. He's not ignoring you, He's insulating you. Because if you were exposed too early, the world would label you, limit you, or maybe even break you. But in the shadows, you get time to become. You get time to grow roots, not just branches. You get time to develop stamina, not just style. And God is not in a rush. He's more interested in who you're becoming than in where you're going. So don't despise the shadows, lean into them. There's glory in the shadows. There's anointing in the shadows. There's strength being built in the shadows. Let's go deeper. Moses was hidden for 3 months as a baby. Then he was hidden in the wilderness for 40 years. Joseph was thrown in a pit, sold into slavery, falsely accused and imprisoned, all before he ever stood in Pharaoh's court. Even Jesus, the Son of God, spent 30 years in obscurity for 3 years of public ministry. What does that tell you? It tells you that God values preparation over presentation. That what looks like delay is divine design. That what seems like rejection is really protection. You're asking God to use you, but He's more focused on forming you. Because He knows your gift can take you places your character can't keep you if it's not fully formed. You can be talented and still not be trustworthy. You can be anointed and still not be accountable. And so He sends you into the shadows, not to punish you, but to build you, to strip you of pride, to mold your heart, to teach you how to depend on Him, how to walk by faith and not by sight. The shadows are sacred. They're holy ground. Because that's where identity is forged. That's where intimacy with God is deepened. That's where true greatness is born. But here's the challenge. The shadows don't feel good. They feel like silence. They feel like isolation. 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 Because nobody sees what God is doing in you. Nobody claps for your discipline. Nobody posts your sacrifices. But while others are being celebrated in public, God is shaping you in private. While they're chasing likes, you're chasing light. While they're performing, you're being purified. And when the time is right, when the process is complete, God will bring you out of the shadows, not just with a gift, but with authority. Because authority doesn't come from exposure, it comes from endurance, from staying faithful when it's hard, from praying when you don't feel like it, from serving without recognition, from giving when it hurts. That's where the oil is pressed. That's where the fire is refined. That's where greatness is formed, not in the crowd, but in the cave. Not in the moment, but in the making. And I get it. You're tired of waiting. You're tired of wondering when your time will come. You're watching others get promoted, elevated, celebrated, and you're thinking, God, did you forget me? No, beloved, he didn't forget you. He's forming you. He's chiseling away everything that doesn't look like purpose. He's shaping your mindset, your maturity, your message. And when it's time, he will bring you forward, not just to be seen, but to shine. And you won't have to force it. You won't have to manipulate it. You won't have to network your way into it, because what God births in the shadows, no man can take credit for. So if you're in a shadow season, rejoice. Not because it's easy, but because it's essential. This is not a season of stagnation. It's a season of formation. God is working on things in you that are bigger than you. He's building you into a vessel that can carry the weight of His glory. He's teaching you how to hear His voice above the noise, how to stand when nobody claps, how to obey when it costs you something. And one day, when the doors open, when the platform comes, when the light shines, it will not break you, because you've already been built, not in front of the crowd, but in the quiet, not on the stage, but in the shadows. That's how God forms greatness. He hides it, He guards it, He nurtures it until the moment is right. So don't rush your shadow season. Don't curse the darkness. Don't abandon the process, because you are not being overlooked. You are being overhauled. And when God brings you out, it won't just be for applause. It will be for assignment. And everything you went through in the shadows will be the foundation of the light you carry. Greatness is not made in front of people. It's made in the presence of God. And His workshop is the shadows. Pressure in the dark produces purpose in the light. There is something sacred about the dark, something mysterious, even divine. And while most people run from it, avoid it, fear it, God uses it. He doesn't waste the dark places. In fact, the dark is often where His most powerful work begins. That's where He allows pressure to do what comfort never could. That's where He shapes your identity, refines your character, and presses you into purpose. And it doesn't happen in front of the crowd. It happens when nobody is watching. It happens under pressure. Let me be clear. Pressure doesn't always feel holy. It often feels like pain, like chaos, like you're being crushed. You feel like everything is pressing in on you from every side. You feel the weight of expectations, of disappointments, of silent battles no one knows you're fighting. You feel the heat of not being enough, the confusion of unanswered prayers, the ache of waiting. And yet, God is not absent in that pressure. He is present in it. He's not trying to break you. He's trying to build something in you that could not be developed any other way. Think about the olive. It must be crushed to release the oil. Think about the diamond. It's formed under intense pressure and heat, deep in the earth where no one sees it. Think about gold. It's purified in fire. Pressure isn't the enemy. It's the environment where transformation happens. It's not there to kill you. It's there to call forth the purpose that's been buried inside of you. That dream, that strength, that message, that faith, it's all been planted in you, but it takes the pressure of the dark to activate it. Many of us pray for purpose, but we don't realize that purpose is almost always preceded by pressure. You can't walk in real purpose without having been processed. You can't carry glory until you've been crushed. You can't lead with authority until you've bled in private. And that pressure, the silent kind, the long nights, the closed doors, the not yets, the betrayals, the moments where you have to worship with tears running down your face, those are the very places where God is forming the vessel that can carry his vision. You see, there is something God can get out of you in the dark that he can't get from you in the light. In the light, you're performing. In the light, you're protecting your image. In the light, you're surrounded by noise and opinions. But in the dark, when it's just you and him, that's where he gets your attention. That's where he deals with your pride, your wounds, your fears. That's where you stop trying to impress and start learning how to submit. That's where true identity is discovered. Pressure in the dark doesn't just reveal what's in you. It removes what doesn't belong. It strips away what's superficial. It exposes what's fragile. It confronts what's fake. Because purpose is too heavy for shallow roots. Purpose can't rest on performance. God will allow pressure to purge you of every false identity, every toxic mindset, every limiting belief, so that when he brings you into the light, you don't just shine, you stand. You don't just inspire people, you impact them, because the pressure made you real. Some of you are in that season right now. You feel pressed. You feel like everything is shaking around you, and you're asking God, why is this happening? But the better question is, God, what are you producing in me through this? Because nothing is wasted with him. Not a single tear, not a single battle, not a single heartbreak. Every ounce of pressure is producing something eternal in you, something that will outlast the season you're in. This is not just about now, it's about your next. God is producing purpose through the pressure. Even Jesus had to go through it. Before the cross, he went to Gethsemane, the place of crushing. That's what Gethsemane means, oil press. It was in that dark garden, under the weight of what he was about to carry, that Jesus felt the full pressure of his assignment. He prayed, if it's possible, let this cup pass from me. But then he surrendered. Not my will, but yours be done. That moment, under pressure in the dark, was the turning point. Because purpose always requires surrender. And surrender is born in pressure. So don't curse the dark. Don't despise the pressure. Because even though it doesn't feel good, it's doing something good. It's teaching you how to walk by faith and not by feelings. It's cultivating a kind of obedience that can't be shaken by circumstances. It's birthing a voice that carries weight because it's been through the weight. And when you come out of that pressure, you won't be the same. You'll have depth. You'll have clarity. You'll have a word in your mouth that breaks chains. People often admire the light, but don't understand the crushing that preceded it. They see the anointing, but don't know the agony. They hear the message, but don't know the midnight wrestles. But when pressure produces purpose, it creates something authentic, something that resonates, something that touches people on a soul level, because it was birthed in the dark. That kind of purpose doesn't fade. That kind of purpose can't be bought. It was paid for in tears, in silence, in pressure. So hold on. Don't rush the process. Don't try to escape the pressure too soon, because if you abort the process, you'll delay the purpose. You may not see the full picture yet. You may not understand why it hurts the way it does. But one day, you'll look back and say, had it not been for that pressure, I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't know God the way I do. I wouldn't be walking in this light with this kind of fire in my bones. The pressure wasn't punishment, it was prep. You're not being crushed to die, you're being crushed to shine, to carry something heavy, to speak with power, to love deeply, to walk in purpose that changes lives. And every ounce of pressure, every trial, every dark moment is producing a light in you that will not go out. So breathe, trust, endure. The light is coming, and when it does, you won't just step into it, you'll be it. Because pressure in the dark always produces purpose in the light. Purpose isn't discovered in comfort, it's carved in chaos. Nobody wakes up one day and stumbles into destiny. Purpose doesn't show up like a perfect package dropped on your doorstep. It's not instant, not obvious, and certainly not easy. Purpose is carved slowly, painfully, and precisely. In the middle of storms, through brokenness, in the fires of confusion, and the weight of unanswered questions. You don't discover what you were born for while everything is going your way. No, you discover it when your back is against the wall, when the lights go out, when the people you trusted disappear, when you're crying in the middle of the night, wondering why God would even allow this. Chaos, as terrifying as it feels, has a divine function. It's the chisel in the hand of the Creator. It cuts, yes, but it also shapes. It hurts, but it also forms. We keep asking God to reveal our purpose, but then we run from the very things He uses to unlock it. We don't realize that sometimes He has to break what we've built, shake what we've settled into, and confuse what we thought we understood, so He can usher us into what He always planned. Look around the Bible. Chaos was the birthplace of purpose. Again and again. We see the rest of the book, God's birthplace in purpose, again and again. Joseph had dreams of influence, but those dreams didn't come to life until he was thrown in a pit by his brothers, falsely accused by Potiphar's wife, and locked away in a prison. It was in the chaos, the betrayal, the injustice, the abandonment that his purpose was being carved out. Moses didn't discover his calling in Pharaoh's palace. He discovered it in exile, in the middle of nowhere, when everything he thought he was supposed to be had fallen apart. David was anointed king, but before he ever wore a crown, he was hunted like a criminal, hiding in caves, running for his life. Why? Because purpose is carved in chaos. The problem is, we don't like chaos. We like structure, predictability, safety. But God rarely shows up in the places that are neatly arranged. He shows up in the whirlwind. He speaks in the storm. He walks on waves. He reveals himself in fire. He doesn't show up to make your life more comfortable. He shows up to make you more complete. And completion sometimes looks like things being torn down before they're built back better. It looks like letting go of what you thought was the plan so you can step into what He actually destined for you. There are moments in life that will feel like everything is falling apart. But what if it's really falling into place? What if the breakdown is actually a breakthrough in disguise? What if the chaos is the sign that God is moving you, shifting you, stretching you so He can show you who you really are and who He really is? Sometimes, God has to disrupt your environment so you can no longer pretend that the place you've settled in is enough. Sometimes he allows discomfort to increase so your hunger grows deeper. Purpose isn't just a pretty word. It's a path that must be walked. And that path is messy. It's unpredictable. It doesn't come with a map, but it does come with a promise. I will never leave you nor forsake you. In the chaos, you learn dependence. You stop leaning on your plans. You stop leaning on people. You start leaning on Him. You stop performing for approval and start pressing in for identity. Chaos strips away the layers. It removes the noise. It brings you to a place where all you have left is God. And in that place, you begin to see clearly. You begin to hear differently. You begin to realize that what you thought was a setback was actually a setup. Chaos also reveals character. It shows you what you really believe. When everything's easy, your faith doesn't get tested. But let some confusion hit. Let some pain visit your doorstep. Let the job fall through, the relationship fall apart, the dream get delayed. Then we see what's been growing underneath. Chaos brings the real you to the surface, not to shame you, but to shape you. And let's be honest, the deepest parts of us don't get healed in comfort. Healing happens in the chaos, in the wrestling, in the I don't understand this moments. God carves purpose in those seasons because that's where we're finally pliable. That's where our pride has crumbled and our hearts are soft. That's where we can finally say, not my will, but yours be done. And it's in that surrender that purpose begins to emerge. Sometimes it's only when everything falls apart that you finally find what matters. You lose the relationship and you gain identity. You lose the position and you find perspective. You lose the approval of others and you finally find your voice. Chaos is the divine mirror. It shows you what needs to go and what needs to grow. Maybe you've been running from the very thing God is using to shape you. Maybe you've been trying to escape the discomfort instead of leaning into the transformation. But you can't walk in divine purpose and avoid divine pressure. Purpose comes with a cost, and chaos is part of the price. And yet, here's the beauty. God doesn't abandon you in it. He walks with you through it. He's not a God who watches from a distance. He's right there in the mess, in the questions, in the shaping, holding. But in the hands of the potter, that chaos is creating something beautiful. Trust the process. Trust the pain. Trust the God who wastes nothing. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. This chaos is not your conclusion. It's the carving. And when He's finished, when the pressure and the process and the fire have all done their work, you won't just be stronger, you'll be clearer, more focused, more powerful. Because your purpose won't just be an idea in your head, it'll be a fire in your bones. Purpose isn't discovered in comfort, it's carved in chaos. The light you become is not a reflection, it's a revelation. We often think of light as something external, something we chase, something we reflect, something that shines on us. But the truth is, the kind of light that transforms the world does not come from the outside. It is born within. It's not a spotlight. It's not an echo of someone else's greatness. It's a revelation. Something divine, something sacred, something eternal, uncovered and ignited deep in your soul through trials, through darkness, through intimacy with God. When you go through darkness, it doesn't just change how you see the world, it changes how you see yourself. It strips away the illusions, the masks, the labels placed on you by others, or even yourself, and it begins to reveal the truth. The truth about who you really are, the truth about what you carry, the truth about the divine fingerprint that's been etched into your spirit since before you were born. That's revelation. And that revelation, once it is uncovered, becomes a light that cannot be dimmed. If you're only shining because things are going well, because you have applause, recognition, favor, or success, that light is fragile. It can be taken from you. It can fade. It's dependent on what's around you. But a revelation? That's eternal. It's internal. It's rooted in truth. It's the kind of light that still burns when everything around you goes dark. That's why God doesn't just give you success. He gives you storms. He doesn't just hand you blessings. He walks you through brokenness. Because He's not trying to give you a reflection, He's trying to birth a revelation. He wants you to know Him for yourself. He wants you to understand your identity when no one is affirming it. He wants you to find your voice when no one is listening. He wants you to become a light that remains, not a reflection that fades. The enemy loves reflections because they're easy to distort. He can manipulate your environment to make you doubt yourself. He can dim the lights around you so you forget who you are, but he cannot destroy what has been revealed by the Spirit of God. Because once you've seen it, once you've encountered who you really are in Christ, you can't unsee it. You might get discouraged, but you won't stay there. You might be knocked down, but you won't stay down. Because the light in you is not circumstantial, it's not performance-based, it's not borrowed, it's yours. That's why darkness comes before the light, not to extinguish you, but to reveal you. The night comes before the morning, not by accident, but by design, because revelation is clearest in contrast. You don't truly see the power of light until you've been through real darkness. You don't appreciate clarity until you've walked through confusion. You don't understand peace until you've battled chaos. And you don't carry real light until you've had to find it not around you, but within you. There are people who are watching you, not because of what you have, but because of what you carry. They don't need another polished, perfect image. They're starving for authenticity. They're craving a light that feels real. And the only way that happens is if you stop chasing surface-level reflection and start cultivating soul-deep revelation. Stop trying to shine like someone else. Stop trying to fit into a mold you were never designed for. The world doesn't need your imitation. It needs your illumination. The greatest light you can bring to the world is the one that's been revealed through your deepest battles. When you come out of the fire, not burned, but blazing. When you rise out of the ashes with a word in your mouth and a mantle on your shoulders. When your scars become sermons and your wounds become wisdom. That's not a reflection, that's a revelation. God didn't bring you through what you've been through just to survive. He brought you through it to shine, to be a walking, breathing, living testimony of His power, to light the way for others still stuck in their night. And that kind of light, born from truth, born from fire, born from pain, it's unstoppable. You don't need a title. You don't need a platform. You don't need 1 million followers. You just need to see clearly who you are and walk boldly in it. The most powerful people in this world aren't the ones who command attention. They're the ones who carry light, a light that was birthed in quiet places, in secret pain, in silent prayers. They're not reflecting culture. They're revealing heaven. They're not echoing noise. They're releasing clarity. And that kind of light doesn't compete. It convinces. It doesn't impress. It impacts. Because it's been earned. And more than that, it's been revealed. The challenge is this: stop trying to borrow someone else's light. Stop living off of surface affirmations. Stop letting the world define your worth. Go deep. Go into the presence of God and let Him show you who you really are. Let Him reveal the truth that cannot be shaken by disappointment or rejection. Let Him turn your darkness into revelation. Because once you've been revealed, you can never go back to hiding. You are not a reflection. You are not a shadow. You are not a duplicate. You are a vessel of divine revelation. And the light you carry isn't just for you. It's for generations. It's for nations. It's for every room you enter, every person you touch, every story you share. So let the fire fall. Let the storm rage. Let the world wonder. Because what's in you is not a flicker, it's a force. And no darkness can overcome it. The light you become is not a reflection, it is a revelation. And it will change everything. So now, as we bring this message to a close, I want you to hear me in your spirit, not just your ears. Darkness is not your enemy. It's your invitation. An invitation to rise, to see, to become. It didn't come to destroy you. It came to develop you, to separate what is shallow from what is sacred, to peel back every false label, every fear, every doubt, until all that's left is the fire God planted in you from the beginning. You are not defined by the night seasons of your life. You are refined by them. That trial you're going through, that confusion that makes you question your next step, that heartbreak that feels unbearable, it's carving your character. It's shaping your voice. It's birthing your light. You don't have to wait for the storm to end to shine. Shine in it. You don't have to wait for the crowd to clap, to rise. Rise anyway. Because the light that has been ignited inside of you, forged through fire, tested by chaos, proven in silence, that light is not ordinary, it is eternal. Don't let the devil lie to you and tell you it's over. Don't let your circumstances blind you to your calling. Don't let the dark fool you, because you were built for this moment. You were chosen for this season, and you were born to be the light. So stand up, not in your own strength, but in the strength of the one who called you. Walk forward. Not in fear, but in full faith. Speak boldly, not with arrogance, but with anointing. And let the world see what light really looks like when it's born out of the deepest dark. Because when the darkness came, it didn't know it was only making room for you to shine. Now go, light it up.